interesting skills negotiating taxi rides. That's a really important one. Here's a tip. In any third world country, the farther you get from the airport terminal, the cheaper the taxi ride's going to get. You just keep a blank face, keep on walking. They're gonna come at you. They're gonna grab you. They're gonna try and pull you. You just keep on going. Ignore them. The price is going to start out at like $30 in whatever currency exchange, and then it's going to drop down to 20, maybe 10. You'll eventually, if you keep on walking long enough, you'll get a ride to wherever you need to go for $4 or $5 or less. It's just, things like that, and you get sort of a gut feeling for when things aren't so safe and when you should kind of lay low or get out of there, and you learn that how you carry yourself is very important in terms of the amount of danger that you're in. If you look like a mark, if you look like a schmuck, they're going to go after you. But if you look like you've done this before and you know what you're doing, you're generally better off. And that just takes some practice. Which is not to say, I'm not Indiana Jones. I am kind of a schmuck, and I do some stupid things a lot of the time. I'm not up here to tell you that I am a master expert at this. In fact, I'm always going to countries I've never been to before, so I'm always a total idiot. I always have no idea what I'm doing, and it just comes down to getting used to that feeling. Yeah. If I could live anywhere that I've visited, it would probably be an island. I've never been somewhere that I've thought I want to live here for the rest of my life and I never want to leave. But when I'm on islands, there's just something I like about that you kind of can have a sense of where you are. There's places where I could spend a lot of time. I could spend a lot of time in Dharamsala in India, which is where the Tibetan government in exile is, and a lot of people do. A lot of people go there for months and hang out with the Tibetans because they're just really amazing people. I'm not a very spiritual person, and I'm not a Buddhist, and I don't meditate, but I can't deny that when I'm in the presence of folks like that, there's just kind of an energy and a serenity that makes me really want to hang around there and learn something. Yeah. Do I find the people are more friendly? Well, yeah, that came up. It's an interesting thing in Africa in particular, in India, a lot of the world. That clip with the kids dancing, you wouldn't see that here because, I have a couple of young nieces. They're 2 and 4. You saw them in the video, and like pretty much any kid in America, they're not allowed out of an adult's sight ever. They are watched all the time, usually by their parents, because it's scary. We're all scared of what's out there and who's down the block and who's around the corner and what's going to get us. And there are parts of the world where they haven't. Maybe they should have that fear, but they don't. And I kind of prefer that they don't, for whatever dangers it exposes them to. People are just out playing on the street. God, Hanoi in Vietnam, it's kind of like taking a city and turning it all inside out. Take all the people who are inside the buildings and put them all on the street. They're all on the street in Vietnam because their houses are so tiny and they're all packed in densely together. So you walk down the street and it's like a party going on all the time. Everybody's eating their meals. They're talking to each other. They're playing badminton or catch or whatever out on the street. And it's really neat. I like that a lot. So, yeah, that's a good point. That people are a lot more open and they interact with each other. It was the thing I was complaining about with Los Angeles in the beginning, how we've become so insulated from the outside world and insulated from each other. We have TiVo, we have internet, and I'm as much of a perpetrator of that kind of lifestyle as anybody. But one thing that travel does to me is it just kind of I remember, oh yeah, that's great. I really need to do that.
What the hell does Matt do now, and why the hell wasn't there any shots of Canada?
Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Yeah. Sorry about that. Are you Canadian? Yeah.
I'm just bugging you.
You're not the first. I get a lot of shit from Canadians. And understandably so, I live in Seattle. It's about as far from Canada as we are right here. I was really interested in, as I said, going to the far-flung corners of the earth, and I didn't go to Canada, which is, as has been pointed out to me many times, the second largest country in the world, and thoroughly deserving of a dancing clip. I just haven't done it yet. I've been to Canada many times. It's great. Love Canada. Haven't put it in a video. If I do make another video, I will definitely put it in there. And I have a list. I have this inbox where I every time I get an email from a country and they're yelling at me for not dancing in their country, I file them in there. Canada's up there at the top. I get tons of them from Canada. And it actually got to the point where I said something really stupid on my site. I have an FAQ, and one of the questions I get asked a lot is, why haven't you danced in Canada? And I put on there, because I hate Canadians. Which didn't go over well. The sarcasm, I'm learning how to do sarcasm. It doesn't always work. And so I got all these emails. They're like, why do you hate Canadians? What's wrong with Canadians? Why do you hate us? I don't hate Canadians. To me, hating Canadians is like hating bread. It's like, what is there to hate? It's bread. So that's why I thought it was so silly to say. Why? Of course I don't hate Canadians. But they took offense to that. So I needed to clarify. I ended up going on MTV Canada. They called me up on my cell phone, and they have their live studio audience, and they show the video to the audience, and they said, "Now you didn't dance in Canada," and everybody's like, "Boo!" And on the cell phone, there's 200 people booing me live on television, and they said, "Now you're going to dance in Canada for your next video, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, I promise." And they go, "Yay!" So I've already vowed that I'm going to do that.
That was the second part of it.
Is what's happening now?
The first part was,
The first part.
what the hell is Matt doing?
What the hell am I doing? I really don't want to have to work, and by that I mean I like, work, like showing up at a job every day work. I did that for a while. I don't like it, and so I really have been enjoying, since getting back from this trip, just loafing around and watching Netflix and playing video games, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple months. I'm sort of getting out of that stupor now. I had a really busy first half of the year, so I've done nothing for the last couple months, and now I'm starting to think about what's next. I don't want to have to take a job. I wasn't very good at working in video games. I like making that video. I don't want to be the guy who's still dancing after everybody stopped caring. So, I'm not thinking I'm going to make a career out of this. But I'm trying to figure out a way to keep making videos. One thing that I've found is very true these days is the most valuable thing in the world right now, in my opinion, is attention. And that if you can get people's attention and hold it even for just a few minutes, a lot of people, we're talking a couple million people for a few minutes, you can make a living off of that. If you can reliably do that, attention is a very valuable thing, because there's so much stuff to distract us now. There's so many ways to amuse ourselves, and all we do all day is amuse ourselves with, DVDs, internet, TV, video games, 1,000 other things. So hopefully I'll be able to keep doing that. As far as making another video goes, I didn't think I was going to make another one when I was done with this one. I kind of figured that would be it. I'd be done at that point. But the response to the second video was a lot bigger than the response to the first one. And in those couple months of loafing around, I can't help but thinking that I'd really like to make one more video. I think I can do a better one. I think there's enough stuff that I can do that it would be a lot of fun. So I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. Yeah, I need another sponsor, because I don't have the money to do that. Canada. Okay.
No, not Canada, Canon.
Oh, Canon. Yeah. Well, Canada's a good idea too, but I'm going to go everywhere but Canada. You want to pay for that? Yeah, Canon. I've never spoken to Canon, but sure, that'd be pretty cool. Because I'm a big advocate for those cameras. You can go around and you could make a TV show with one of those things. It'd be a little bit crummy looking, but they're pretty cool. Yeah. What's my impression of Japan? Japan, somebody asked me earlier today what my biggest culture shock was, and the one that popped into my head was Japan, because that's a place where the culture is so different from America. Are you Japanese? So you've learned this in reverse. The cultures are so different. And I found Japan was a place where the rituals of how you do things, like how you eat a meal, how you bathe, how you check into a hotel are so complicated, and it was difficult for me to learn them because nobody was going to tell them to me. I just had to figure it out and embarrass myself, and so it's a pretty intimidating country. It's a fantastic country. I love it. I loved going to Tokyo for the trip, and doing that dancing clip in Shibuya was a lot of fun.
Go to the first video?
Yeah, sure. Do you guys want to see the first video that led to this? Okay, sure. That's so. This is the one that I made in 2003 on my own dime. There's no, the really far-flung places aren't in here because it was more of a budget traveler type thing, but I really don't need to preface it. Here you go.
Okay, so just hold it. Just hold it.
So this is what I had to do a lot of. Kind of get the mic here. This is what I had to do a lot of the time was recruit people who were standing around to hold the camera for me and just kind of explain to them what was going to happen. So this nice Chinese woman was kind enough to hold the camera. She didn't really get what was going on. This is the first clip that I ever did in Vietnam. This was just right after my friend had the idea to do it. Delhi. Yeah, there's cows everywhere. This is in Paharganj in Delhi, which is a really rough area. Relatively rough. The Red Square was closed that day, so I had to go to the back side of that. This is Bangkok. This is outside a brothel in Bangkok. If you watch closely here, I'm about to whack her in the chin. There, yeah. Just hit her in the face by accident. We all know what that one is. This is where I learned, this is one of the examples of where I learned what's not interesting to do in a video clip. Architecture, ancient ruins, cooler, but what's really neat is animals and people. I really enjoyed Angkor Wat a lot. The Bengal jungle is one of the last places where wild tigers live. Didn't see any, so I just kind of danced in the woods hoping a tiger didn't eat me while I was dancing. Yeah, LA. This is on the border between Mongolia and Russia. I realized I'd forgotten to do a clip in Mongolia, so I did that lame one. This is the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. That was the hardest clip I ever shot. It's after 6 days of climbing. I puked about 5 times on the way up and had nothing left. It's on the Trans-Siberian Railway, Siberia. Not a very interesting one. Learned not to get too far from the camera. This is my favorite. She just told me, don't stop, keep on dancing. My friend's laughing. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. The giraffe must be coming up to me or something. But no, it's booking. As soon as I started dancing, it's running off. This is in the impenetrable forest of Uganda. The mountain gorillas are up here. They're very nearby, but I wasn't going to dance with them. So I got that shot because they might, crush my skull. That's in Burma. Beautiful country, Burma. If you ever get a chance, fantastic. This is my mom's house in Westport. This is back home in Seattle. This is my niece. She's in the second one too. She's about 1 here, and she danced a little bit in Times Square. So that's the first one. I'll show you another clip that's pretty funny. Thank you. A question that I get asked a lot is if I ever got in trouble for dancing, and the answer used to be no, and I assumed it would always be no because I'm dancing. What are you gonna do? But I ended up getting arrested in Greece for doing this. This is me dancing in front of the Parthenon. She's like, it's the Parthenon, of course. So I started dancing. About 10 seconds into it, this guy walks up to me, and he insists that I stop right away and delete the video from my camera. What are you doing? I'm dancing. You can't do that here. There's no dancing here. Really? There's no dancing at the Parthenon? You can't do that. Delete it from your camera. No, I'm not going to delete that from my camera. And he said, well, you're going to go to jail. I don't think I am. And so he went and he called the security guard over, told him what I'd been doing, and he said, yes, you must delete this from your camera. I said, why? He said, there's no dancing here. Really? Is there a sign that says no dancing? And they're like, you're going to go to jail. And I'm like, all right, let's go, because this is ridiculous. And so they took me down to the sort of guard station, and they figured out I was American pretty quickly, and I think that had a lot to do with what was going on. Arrogant American coming here, thinks he can do whatever he wants, thinks he can be disrespectful to our holy religious site. And I just thought, what the hell's going on here? So it just kept on going and going, and I was a little bit belligerent, because I thought it was ridiculous. And they ended up getting hauled off to the police station. They held me for questioning. I had to show the chief of police in Athens the video, and it went on and on. Finally, I think it was all Greek to me, but he started yelling to the people who brought me in, and it was pretty obvious that he was like, what the hell are you doing wasting my time with this guy? And so they let me go, and they asked me about 7 more times if I would delete the video, and I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so they let me keep it. It wasn't really good enough that I wanted to use it in the video, and I was a little bit bitter. So I didn't end up using it, but that was an interesting incident. What else have I got? I got a lot of other slides. Oh, this was fun. Yeah, that's kayaking in New Zealand. These are dusky dolphins. They're one of the most acrobatic species of dolphins. And the town of Kaikoura in the South Island of New Zealand has really, really deep water coming right up to the shore. So they get a lot of big mammals there. It's one of the only places in the world that you can go kayaking from the shore and be in amongst these pods of hundreds of dolphins. And so we got really lucky that day, and we went out there, and they come right up to but they don't really like swimming with people, duskies. I don't know about every species of dolphins, but I got in the water on another day with them, and they just kind of go up to you, and they're like, big, gangly, ugly people. They swim off. But if you're in a kayak, it's a little more streamlined and sleek, and they're a little more curious. And they actually come up, and they're bumping into your kayak, and they're swimming alongside you. And what you start doing is you start paddling, and you get some speed up, and they love it. You create a little bit of wake, and you'll have the whole pod swimming with you, which is just amazing. And they love getting up and doing these double, triple flips in the air. They're really acrobatic. They don't do it for fish. It's not SeaWorld. Nobody's giving them anything for it. They just love flipping up there in the air. That's me looking all tough guy. This is a seal eating an octopus. It's actually a sea lion eating an octopus. It killed it, and then it was making a meal out of it, and so it would grab one of the tentacles and actually lift its head out of the water and fling it. And the octopus would go hurling in the air until one of its arms ripped off. Then he'd eat that arm, and then he'd grab another arm, and he'd fling it until that arm came out. So it was kind of horrifying, but really fascinating at the same time, watching him dismember this octopus. And eventually he burst the ink sac, and all of a sudden just ink splattered out everywhere. That was really neat to get to see. What else we got here? Micronesia. All right, I'm going to show you these. I'm just going to bore the hell out of you with my slideshow now. Micronesia, particularly the island of Chuuk, was a really important location in World War II. Micronesia is in the middle of the South Pacific. It's near. I'm not going to show you. It's about 1,000 miles west of Hawaii and about 3,000 miles east of the Asian continent, in just the middle of nowhere. And in World War II, Japan had parked most of its naval fleet in this island. They had about 60 ships there. You all know what happened in Pearl Harbor. In 1944, it was sort of the flip side of that. It was called Operation Hailstorm, where the U.S. came in, and they sunk all 60 ships in one day. And Chuuk has got a lagoon around it. It's got a breakwater, so the current is really low inside the lagoon, and these ships were really, really well preserved. And so what's happened 60 years later is they're incredibly intact. They're covered with coral. Because coral loves it. It's got all coral wants is a place to grow, and a lot of the ocean floor is just sand. So when something like this happens, you think it's terrible environmentally, but it's actually great. As long as it's not leaking anything bad into the water, it gives the coral somewhere to grow, and it creates a lot more life. And that brings fish, and that brings sharks, and it's really amazing. This is Melissa swimming into the hold of one of the ships. These are human remains. A lot of Japanese sailors died inside these ships. There's one of them, I'm told, where a torpedo hit and the bones are actually fused into the side of the hull. These are leg bones. This is the surgery room. There were a lot of human remains in there, and some diver just stacked the leg bones up on that table there. It's kind of like going into a haunted house, only it's 100 feet underwater and there are sharks all around you. So it's pretty intense. It's pretty scary, but it's just amazing. This is me trying to dance on the deck of one of the ships. I learned my lesson about that. You dance for about 3 seconds, and then you've got a cloud of smoke growing around you. So that didn't work out. This is Ludwig and Estos, Chuuki's dive master and boat driver who took us out. Estos just knows, he's been doing this all his life, so he just knows where the ships are by looking at the islands. He rides out on the boat, and he knows when this island is here, and this island is here, and this island is about this big, the ship is right there. So he just kind of raises his hand when we get out there and we go down. That's a shark, and you can get a good sense of scale there from it. That ladder that it's swimming over is about 6 feet, so that's about an 8-foot-long gray reef shark, I think. That's a turret cannon of one of the ships. It's really big. This gives you a sense of how much coral is growing on here. They're just teeming with life. This is Estos and I. The next few pictures I show you were all taken within a few minutes of each other. They're sequential. Estos took me down into the hold of the ship called the Fujikawa Maru, which is just the most amazing wreck of all of them that I saw. We went down into the hold, and this is a gas mask that some diver I think has just put onto one of the machine gun cannons here. I like that picture because it looks like an Iron Maiden album cover. And this is what it's like down there. As I said, it's like being in a haunted house. The lighting is really ominous. And Estes took me into that little black hole right there, and we're going down the hallways of the ship. He took me into the next hole. That's the Japanese Zero fighter that was stored there. You don't see a lot of them these days. There aren't very many. There certainly aren't very many in the ocean that you can go up to. But I don't know if they should be doing this or not. But just let me, get in there and sit inside the cockpit, and they've still got the controls that you can see. You're sitting in the cockpit of a World War II fighter plane. It's pretty incredible. And this is Estes walking down the wing of the plane. This is the bathroom on the ship. This is the gangway, the staircases. This is a urinal. I was surprised to find out the Japanese ships had urinals back then. I just think this looks like, it looks like a Pirates of the Caribbean set, with the ropes and stuff. It's really amazing. This is on a different ship called the Heian Maru. This was the ship that's in the video. It's actually the propeller of the ship. It's a 500-foot-long ship, like Titanic-sized, enormous. And it was a submarine tender ship. So this is a periscope that they were storing that they were going to load onto one of the submarines, but hadn't done yet. This is live ammunition. This is a shell of for the huge cannon that I showed you earlier. It's live. There's a lot of ammunition down there, and it goes off every once in a while. So you don't want to get too close to it. Anyway, that's what it's like down there. That's one of the most amazing places I've ever been. I think about it a lot because it's really it's hard to believe that it's real, And I don't know how much longer that's going to last, especially with people going down in there. And there's a room. You go into one room in the ship, and it's full of sake bottles. And the dive master, the Chuukese dive master, will just pick up one of the sake bottles, open it up, and this is sake from 60 years ago that nobody's ever touched. And you see the sake because it's a little bit lighter than salt water, just float up to the surface. If they do that every day, I don't know how much longer that sake is going to last. But that's one of the reasons that you got to get out there now. It's not going to be around forever. Nothing's going to last forever. We probably got to wrap it up, right? How'd you guys like to dance with me and shoot a video clip?